Test, Test, hallo, Test, Test. Aha. So, ähm, das kannst du keinem. Moment. Äh, das kannst du keinem erzählen. Ähm, heute. Oh, das ist ultra scheiße. Ähm, sieht man mir das an? Ich weiß es gar nicht. Ich müsste es mal selbst sehen. Ähm, ich sehe es in der Kamera nicht. Mir ist gerade eben in der Vorbereitung, während die Musik schon gelaufen ist, ich habe meine Brille geputzt und dabei ist mir, ich weiß nicht, könnt ihr das sehen? Ist mir dieser Nasenbügel ist mir abgerissen, abgebrochen. Ich halte es nicht aus. Das Universum sagt, es ist jetzt endlich mal Zeit. Ähm, ja, ist halt blöd, ne? Ich meine, oh, warum? Warum? Warum heute? Warum jetzt? Naja, ich meine, ist ja besser als an einem Sonntag, aber es geht ja so. So ist es ja nicht, ne? Also es ist so ungewohnt, aber ich werde dann morgen nach der Arbeit mal zum Geschäft fahren und mal gucken, ob ich was Neues finde, was Schönes. Schwarz-Violett. Geil. GG, ja. Hallo Tobi, ich grüße dich. Schön, dass du da bist. Ja. Ich habe jetzt bei. Das ist unfassbar. Das kannst du keinem erzählen. Wirklich nicht. Das ist unfassbar. Ich dachte jetzt, dass. Ach so. Ja. Hast du gut gemacht, ja. Jan, ich grüße dich. Schön, dass du da bist. Du darfst mich morgen dafür auslachen. Ich werde von Tobi wahrscheinlich dafür später noch ausgelacht. Fahren wir also morgen zu Vielmann und gucken mal, ob wir was finden oder ob die mir überhaupt was geben können. Ähm, oder ob ich wieder zuerst zum Augenarzt muss. Moment, ich kann euch das zeigen. Achso, nee, ich habe das schon eingepackt. Ich habe das abgebrochene Stück habe ich jetzt eingepackt in meinem Geldbeutel. Vielleicht können die das ja für die Übergangszeit wieder dran löten. Ja, ja. Wieso auslachen ist mir auch schon passiert. Das kostet richtig viel, Mann. Buh, der war schlecht. Aber ja, dieser Witz bekommt von mir eine 3. So, ja, ob die mir überhaupt was geben können. Oder ob ich wieder zuerst zum Augenarzt rennen muss und quasi das Ganze nochmal neu einmessen. Ähm, Ich will jetzt nicht sagen, ich hatte das sowieso irgendwann mal vor. Weil, machen wir uns nichts vor, diese Brille ist jetzt schon. Scheiße, wie alt? Also meine Twitch-Anfänge hat sie definitiv mitgemacht. Also mal mindestens 5 Jahre. Ich glaube eher 10. Ich würde sagen, also 8 bis 10 Jahre hat diese Brille schon. Wir können mal ganz kurz mal, pass auf, wir können mal ganz kurz nachrechnen. Ich mache mal kurz Taschenrechner auf. Sagen wir mal 8 Jahre. 8 mal 365 Tage sind 2920 Tage mal 2. 5840 mal ab- und aufsetzen. Das beeindruckt. Ja. So. Das soll aber nichts der Sache zum Abriss tun. Ich glaube, ich gewinne mich daran. Wir spielen heute. Dafür mache ich die Musik auch extra mal aus. Ja, damals waren die Holzschuhe noch aus. Ach so. Haha, damals waren die Holzschuhe noch aus Gummi. Nee, andersrum, ja. Oder wie man im Saarländischen sagt, Sellemholz, als die Gummistiefel noch aus Holz waren. Ja. So, wir begeben uns ins Großraumbüro. Heute fangen wir was Neues an. Ähm, warte mal. Ein herzliches Willkommen zu einem neuen Projekt, was ich mir jetzt mal endlich antue. Es wurde sich lange gewünscht, ich habe es lange vor mir hergeschoben. Heute spielen wir The Stanley Parable und ich kann leider in dem kleinen Bildschirm nichts klicken. So. Wir spielen das heute, also wir spielen das, es ist ein Stream heute, aber ich lasse die Musik weg, damit wir das Spielerlebnis quasi richtig haben, so wie es bei Package Inspector ja auch war. Ich habe ein bisschen vorrecherchiert über das Stanley Parable. Ich weiß zum Beispiel, dass es sehr viele Enden gibt. Ich weiß ungefähr über die Achievements Bescheid. Da habe ich jetzt durch Zufall durchs Rumbasteln gerade im Menü auch was gefunden. Ich zeige euch ein Achievement. Hier, wenn ihr geht. Achso, Moment, Mausempfindlichkeit wollte ich runterstellen. So. Optionen, Extras, Achievement. Ja, so. Und das kommt immer wieder. So. Oh, schon das zweite. Ich habe, glaube ich, ein bisschen oft drauf gedrückt. Egal. So. Ich weiß eigentlich nichts über die Story. Ich habe irgendwann, glaube ich, mal die Demo gespielt in einem Stream. Das ist Ewigkeiten her. Und ich glaube, es gibt davon sogar ein Video irgendwo auf YouTube. Ich bin mir nicht mehr sicher. Ich weiß es nicht mehr. So lange ist das her. Heute machen wir es endlich und ich würde sagen, legen wir gleich los. The end is loading. Cool.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
So. Als erstes machen wir die Musik ein bisschen leiser. Eigentlich noch ein bisschen leiser. Ich finde diese Geräusche aber auch geil. Das ist so, ich wühle in einer alten Tastatur rum. Ach, das ist für mich, ich will nicht sagen, es ist Ohrenbefriedigung, aber... Ja. Den Erzähler gibt es nur auf Englisch. Ich habe aber die deutschen Untertitel an, falls das jemand mitlesen möchte. Ich werde keine Dialoge vorlesen, weil das wird ja erledigt. Das ist nämlich auch dieses Ding. Dieses Spiel wird komplett erzählt. Und wir tun Dinge. So. Die zweite Sache ist, wie kann man diesen Job machen? Und drittens, wie kann man es nicht mitbekommen, dass man eine Stunde lang, also, ne? Und viertens, warum ist hier kein Fenster? Egal. Die Kollegen sind weg. Beginnen Sie mal, also, gucken mal, wo die sich rumtreiben. Ich irgendwas greifen, irgendwas nehmen. Ja, gut.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Oh, ist dezent hell da draußen. So, Konferenzraum. Ich weiß jetzt gerade auch gar nicht, wer dieses Spiel entwickelt hat. Ja. Pass da auf.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
So, jetzt kann ich ein bisschen Vorwissen einbringen. Und zwar, das Spiel richtet sich, oder andersrum, das Erzählte, wenn du nicht das machst, was der Erzähler von dir möchte, richtet sich das irgendwie anders. Jetzt weiß ich nicht, welche Herangehensweise ich mache. Als Package Inspector war es ja so, ich befolge alle Anweisungen. Machen wir das hier doch auch mal.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
How to solve a dispute with a coworker. Aha. You most of all. Oh. Das ist die Message des Tages. Rated which charts on the same side? Oh.
Stanley just stood there doing nothing at all. He seems to think I have nothing better to do with my time than to sit around and describe every fascinating little detail of his inability to do anything. This is why Stanley and I are on such good terms.
Weil wir beide nichts können? Naja, was haben wir denn hier noch? Ah, wenn du nicht drauf guckst, dann fängt die Präsentation wieder von vorne an. Lustiges Easter Egg. Ich weiß nicht, ob man das als Easter Eggs bezeichnen kann. Ich meine, ja. Ich komme nicht zurück. Okay, Broom Closet. Oh.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Es klingt wie Portal, auf jeden Fall. Ich meine, es sieht auch fast so aus.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow. Just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Ja, ist ja gut. So.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Die Steuerung ist wenigstens schön angenehm. Das ist ganz toll. Crazy. Ist jemand da?
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Das Keypad... Ah, hier. 2, 8, 4, 5.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Ach, da. Also, ich meine, technisch gesehen kann man es, oder mathematisch gesehen kann man es sich ausrechnen, wie groß die Wahrscheinlichkeit ist, hier die richtige Zahlenkombination einzugeben. Und zwar dürfte das, glaube ich, sein 9 hoch 4. 10 hoch 4. Ne, 1 zu 10 hoch 4. Also quasi, ach, was weiß ich. Oder 4 hoch, nee, 4 hoch 9. 9 hoch 4? Ach, scheiße, weiß nicht mehr. Ja, das ist doch ein Valve-Game. Wir kennen doch alle diese Knöpfe hier. Das kann doch nicht wahr sein. Okay, dann geht's nicht weiter. Oh, loading.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Ich fühle mich irgendwie so ein bisschen...
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Ah. Ja, komm.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Was steht denn da? Können wir uns ducken? Und wir können uns ducken. Ah, guck mal. Zahl. Okay. Wir kennen die endlosen Tiefen von Gebäuden. Also hier waren definitiv die Leute von Aperture Science am Werk. Das ist ja wohl klar. Ich glaube, dieses Spiel ist einfach viel lustiger, wenn man es... Oder viel besser, wenn man es nach Portal spielt oder so. Keine Ahnung, weil man dann mit einigen Sachen hier zurechtkommt. Zum Beispiel diese Röhren hier. Ja, lauter so Dinger. Das ist fantastisch. So. Da ist ein Knopf. Aber was passiert, wenn wir auf diesen Knopf draufdrücken? Das seht ihr in der nächsten Folge. Ja. Das war's für die erste Folge. Wenn es euch gefallen hat, Daumen nach oben. Und dann sehen wir uns in der nächsten Folge wieder. Immer noch mit kaputter Brille. Und dann, genau. In diesem Sinne, macht's gut. Tschüss. Ja. Was ist das denn? Noch mehr Zeug. Das ist alles Monitore. Das ist crazy. So. Willkommen zurück. Entschuldigung. Willkommen zurück zum Let's Play der Stanley Parable. Und wir machen gleich weiter mit diesem ominösen Knopf aus der letzten Folge.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Ich glaube ziemlich genau da. Ne, das waren 2 Computerbildschirme. So, jetzt wäre es natürlich noch interessant zu wissen, wo ist Büro Nummer. Oh, was ist das denn? Piep, piep, piep. Ah ja, 427, da. Tatsächlich. Das ist tatsächlich unser Büro. Das ist beeindruckend. Oh, fired. Beeindruckend.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Was ich nur nicht verstehe, ist, warum wechselt es hier die ganze Zeit durch? Gibt's für mich keinen Sinn.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Was ist das denn hier? Was haben wir denn da noch? Ich habe dem Erzähler jetzt tatsächlich nicht zugehört. Ich habe jetzt gerade leider keine Ahnung, was der von mir will. Ich war gerade zu sehr mit anderen Sachen beschäftigt. Was ist das denn? 4. 4? Da unten ist 1, 2. Da hinten ist 5. Facility Power. Passiert nichts. Gut. Dann würde ich mal behaupten, drücken wir mal die 1. 2. Was? Console disabled. Wo sind die 3? 4? Ah, da ist noch eine Tür. Die ist zu. Gut. 1, 2. Da sind wir reingekommen. Dann möchte ich die Scheiße erst anschalten. Man Controls. Idle. Waiting Input. Das nenne ich mal einen Monitor. System Power.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Oh.
blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Das sieht mir alles nicht so ganz echt aus. Ich meine, wir wissen ja alle, wie das in Portal war.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Was? Ich bin jetzt verwirrt. War das jetzt? Doch, das war ein Ende. Das war ein Ende. Okay, gut. Ja. Schau mal, welcher Druckerhersteller die haben. Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ich würde sagen, das ist
No matter how hard Stanley looked,
Rico.
he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Irgendwas Altes. Oder HP. So, das war jetzt das erste Ende. Wir machen jetzt mal weiter. Und gucken mal.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors,
Nein.
he entered the door. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Nö. Ah,
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
do not lie. If you're lying right now, stop. Okay. Wir hören jetzt einfach nicht mehr auf den Dude. So. So, das könnte man jetzt eventuell kennen. Also diese Umgebung kenne ich tatsächlich. Was haben wir denn hier noch?
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Boah. Bisschen hell.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley. Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Drücke B. Gut.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Drücke Z. Jetzt ist natürlich die interessante Frage, welche Tastaturbelegung haben die? Ich wollte mich ja nicht an die Anweisungen des Erzählers halten, oder das sind Anweisungen des Spiels, das sind ja nicht Anweisungen des Erzählers. Z.
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it. You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Lol. Ah ja, okay. Gut. Ein weiteres Ende. Gut. Das war's für diese Folge. Ich habe mir gerade gedacht, wie machen wir das? Ich weiß ja nicht, wie viele Enden es genau gibt. Möchten wir vielleicht doch alle machen? Ich habe letztens immer mal gesagt, ich zeige ein Ende und dann ist gut. Dann spielen wir was anderes. Jetzt habe ich schon 2 gezeigt. Ja. Ich würde sagen, wir machen das nochmal. Und in dem Lagerhaus probiere ich jetzt mal noch was. Das sehen wir dann in der nächsten Folge. Mal gucken, was uns das bringt. In diesem Sinne, wenn es euch gefallen hat, lasst einen Daumen da, abonniert den Kanal. Und wir sehen uns in der nächsten Folge wieder. Bis dahin. Tschüss. Willkommen zurück beim Let's Play The Stanley Parable, Folge Nummer 3. Und wir wählen jetzt mal noch einen Approach. Moment, irgendwas ist hier anders als vorher. Hier war doch vorher noch ein Büro.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ihr habt jetzt das Großraumbüro einfach wegretuschiert, ne? Probieren wir es doch nochmal auf diese Art und Weise. Was kommt denn jetzt? Im Meetingraum.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ich finde es übrigens sehr schön, dass dieser Schriftzug nicht auf dieser Wand steht, sondern hier. Sodass man ihn nicht die ganze Zeit sieht, wenn man auf dem Scheißhaus sitzt. Beeindruckend. Oh, schaut mal. Fahrstuhl. Ha, witzig. Ich stelle mir die Frage, wie lange es dauert, bis das Spiel selber jetzt irgendwas tut. Panels ist Portal übrigens, ne? Ja, okay. Das führt zu nichts.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Das hatten wir ja schon. Aber
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
nö.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Geil.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death. As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Mhm. Das wäre auch zu einfach gewesen.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Ach, witzig. Was haben wir denn hier? Ein Modell von unserem Büro. Die Office. Ist das eine Anspielung auf die Serie? Button sounds. A selection of the sounds used throughout the game and the buttons are pressed. These keywords were innocent. Credits! Guckt mal, wir haben Credits. Screenshot. Was soll denn hier noch? Filing Cabinets. Corridor. The pacing of this opening section was important to get right. This corridor has been moved and altered to make sure the player reached the two doors in a good time. Ich wollte sagen, die haben das entfernt. The two doors. The set of two open doors was the very first concrete piece of the Stanley Parable's design. Once this room was created, the rest of the game emerged as an extension of it, an exploration of the contradiction this room posed. Ist das gerade ein Making-of-Room des Games? Das ist ja total cool. Ich muss das jetzt auskosten. Office layout. This blueprint shows the office from the beginning of the game. The path from Stanley's office to the two doors was the very first part of the game that was built. Sections have been added and altered throughout development, though the core layout remains almost identical to the first iteration. Nature paintings. Stanley's computer. Okay. Office doors. Office computers. Cool. Office clock. Boss office. Was haben wir da hinten noch? Ich finde das gerade irgendwie komisch. The Office. Das ist ein Stück von der Wand. The Maintenance Room. Aha. Aha. Mhm. Was? Witzig. E-Mails an den Erzähler. Ach so. Choice leading to the apartment ending. A timer would give you 15 seconds to pick up the phone. Not picking up the phone would lead to a different ending. Aha. Könnten wir ja auch noch testen. We also wanted the option of the player to falling to their death. Ah ja. Das sieht so ein bisschen aus nach Half-Life. Oh, da ist ein Spoiler drin. Confusion einigen. Es gibt im Maintenance Room gibt's noch ein Ende. Interessant. Das ist wie ein Museum. Das ist total geil. Gehen wir noch ein bisschen hier durchs Museum. Ah. This is the freedom ending as it existed in beta. The Countdown Ending. Kenne ich gar nicht. The two endings together instead. Okay. The Countdown Room. Hat's doch was mit diesen Knöpfen noch da auf sich? Mhm. Ja, spielt den Trailer halt nicht ab, ne? Aha, ja. So, es gab doch noch eine zweite Seite. Da hinten.
They're throwing a surprise party for him for all his button pushing. Does that sound plausible to you? Stanley walked through the green door.
Okay. Outtakes, auch lustig. Ah, okay. Dann haben wir jetzt alles gesehen. Wo war hier der Ausgang? Da nicht. Ich glaube noch eins hoch, gell? Ah ja, ach, wow, hier, ja.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time
Okay. Ach, muss ich das wirklich drücken? Hör doch auf. Okay, ja, ich glaube, das war's für diese Folge. Ich bedanke mich fürs Zuschauen. Wenn es euch gefallen hat, Daumen nach oben und wir sehen uns in der nächsten Folge wieder. Bis dahin, macht's gut. Tschüss. Ich muss jetzt mal ein Stück trinken. So. Einen machen wir noch. Herzlich willkommen zurück beim Let's Play des Stanley Parable. Wir befinden uns nach einem Neustart und
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. Just a matter of time.
nur mit anderen Texten jetzt. Also wir sind irgendwie immer noch nicht fertig.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Wir erinnern uns an den Gebäudeplan vom letzten Mal.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Weil es gibt ja noch...
Wow. Yes. This room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Machen wir das doch mal.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Das könnten wir jetzt tun. Dann kommen wir nämlich jetzt hier auf diesem Flur wieder raus. Aber... ich weiß ja, dass... also jetzt... also nachdem ich den Plan gesehen habe, weiß ich ja, dass hier anscheinend noch ein Ende versteckt sein muss.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
Witzig. Ist auf. Ist auf. Nö. Gut.
Oh, no. No, it's to the right. My mistake.
Spielen wir jetzt dieses Spiel.
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Ah, rechts, runter, links, runter.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
LOL, jetzt startet er es für mich neu. Da sind wir wieder. Witzig. Das Confusion Ending. Gut.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Was ist jetzt eigentlich, wenn ich nochmal zurückgehe? Gibt es hier noch mehr Möglichkeiten, irgendwo langs zu latschen? Nö.
When Stanley... Wait. Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Or did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Aha. Ja. Also da rein ist... Moment. Was? Macht ihr euch hier desselben Tricks?
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Oh, schade.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
So, was kommt jetzt? Das wird jetzt wahrscheinlich lustig.
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Ah, da ist eine Tür. Guck mal. Ah ne, Moment. Da ist zu. Da ist zu. Da ist ja nicht ein Gang, aber da komme ich nicht. Komme ich nicht. Hallo? Nee. Ah, ach, kann ich die... Ich mich jetzt frage, ist das jetzt immer noch das Confusion Ending? Ich glaube schon.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes.
Sie machen sich hier desselben Tricks zunutze.
No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Sie machen sich hier desselben Tricks zunutze wie die, oh, wie heißen sie denn? Die Dingens-Testkammern in Portal 2.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work and it really paid off. So, good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
Jetzt bin ich gespannt. Es wird immer spannender. Oh.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Oh nein. Hä? Moment.
No, I'm down. We're living it up to the line from now on.
Ich merke, ihr habt die Story verändert. Ja, okay, dann machen wir das jetzt einfach mal. Wir folgen jetzt mal der Linie. Da liegt eine Kaffeetasse auf dem Boden. Hier rein, 425. Da hätte man auch drauf kommen können.
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize.
Ich hab
Not sure where
Kopfschmerzen.
I was going with all that.
Das verwirrt mich.
You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Hä? So. Was zum Fick? Moment mal, ganz kurz. Wie macht ihr das? So. Das ist hier einfach nur... witzig.
Wait, cut the music. Go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story.
Screenshot.
Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Ich mache mir noch ein Handyfoto, ne? So, gut. Und wie ihr wissen wollt, wie es mit dem Fahren weitergeht, dann schaltet in der nächsten Folge wieder ein. Das war's für dieses Mal. Macht's gut bis dahin. Abonniert den Kanal, Daumen nach oben und wir sehen uns beim nächsten Teil. Macht's gut. Tschüss. Hallo Tobi, ich grüße dich. Ich bin leicht verwirrt. Aber es wird langsam. Es wird langsam. Willkommen zurück zum Let's Play The Stanley Parable. Mit Blick auf diesen Faden haben wir die letzte Folge beendet, nachdem es mit diesen Linien ein bisschen weird wurde, aber nur ein bisschen. Ja, wir machen mal weiter. Gucken mal.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Komm ich nicht rein.
Oh, no, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Das ist lustig. Okay, nochmal.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Genau, wir machen uns jetzt unsere eigene Story. Guck jetzt mal, was passiert.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
Ja, der Witz ist langweilig.
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Sie ist weg. Jetzt geht er in die Odenwalddecke rein. Okay.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going?
Warum fragst du
Since
mich
the
das?
answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits. Hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination, so I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime...
Zum Glück bin ich tiefenentspannt. Und hab mich einfach nur beschwafeln lassen. So. Scheiße, weiß jetzt noch irgendjemand, wie es jetzt weitergeht? Ich hatte eben noch irgendeinen Gedanken. Ich konnte ihn aber nicht mehr fertig denken. Egal.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Try to re-find the line.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Nee, jetzt gehen wir mal nach unten. Gucken mal. Hier ist nur eine Lampe.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Was?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Das hört sich nicht gut an. Das klingt so, als wäre hier irgendwo Feuer. Oder als würde es regnen. Ich weiß nicht, wo ich gerade feststecke. Ich habe Kopfschmerzen. Ich kann nicht mehr klar denken. Das Spiel macht mich fertig. Aber eine Folge machen wir noch. Mindestens. Ja, wir pausieren mal hier an dieser Stelle. Das war's für diese Folge. Wenn ihr wissen wollt, wie es in der nächsten Folge weitergeht, dann abonniert den Kanal, gebt dieser Folge einen Daumen nach oben und schaltet bei der nächsten Folge wieder ein. Bis dahin, macht's gut. Tschüss. Alter. Nochmal ein Stück trinken. So. Jetzt sind wir ready für den letzten Durchlauf. Für heute. Und vielleicht für überhaupt. Ich habe keine Lust mehr. Willkommen zurück zum Let's Play des
Stanley stood for a long time in one spot. It's part of a game. He likes to see how long he can go without dying. So far, he's doing excellent. And if he just stays right where he is, I'm sure he'll keep up that good momentum. Let's observe the genius at work.
Das war indirekt auch mein Ziel, dass ich genau das jetzt machen wollte. Einfach mal rumstehen. Ebenfalls bin ich der Meinung, dass es hier entweder brennt oder regnet. Ich laufe jetzt weiter.
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Unbitter.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was it about this room that called so deeply and so personally to Stanley? Its grace? Its subtle charm? No. Stanley knew it was something deeper, something darker. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Los, nochmal das Confusion Ending. Nein.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Abgehakt.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken. No, the orders were still missing. For now. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ah. Noch ein Achievement. Wir müssen einfach nur oft genug die Space-Taste drücken und dann findet ihr raus, dass ihr nicht springen könnt. Ich bin immer noch bisschen...
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first time understood true happiness. Then the feeling went away, and he felt sad again. Then it came back, and lingered for a minute or two. Now it's only half there, just a kind of, tingle. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Was passiert denn jetzt, wenn ich echt zurücklatsche? Nix.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ich versuche jetzt mal was.
The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? This was too much for Stanley to take. Too much for any man to take. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Oh, wie entspannend.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Ich weiß jetzt, welchen Gedanken ich vorhin hatte, den ich nicht zu Ende führen konnte. Ich weiß, warum wir den Knopf mit der 3 da drin nicht finden können. Erinnert euch an die Uhren? 1, 2, B, 4? Ja, es ist ein Love Game. Und die können ja nicht bis 3 zählen. Also die kennen die Zahl 3 nicht. Netter Gag. Wirklich netter Gag.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building. Stanley's co-workers, the lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Ah, da ist die 3. Also von vorne. 1, 2, 3. 4. 5. Nicht. Drücken wir jetzt hier mal auf On.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though. This version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless, to see you made humble. This is not a challenge, it's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice? Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
Ja. So. Ich glaube, ich werde mich mal über dieses Ende explizit informieren. Nur damit ich weiß, wie es funktioniert. Anyway, das war's für diese Folge. Eine Folge wird es noch geben, die machen wir aber nicht heute, sondern die machen wir beim nächsten Mal, wenn ich irgendeine Ahnung habe, wie dieses Ende funktioniert. Für die restlichen Enden werde ich auf dem Discord mal ein Video zur Verfügung stellen. Das reicht mir persönlich. Jetzt, also, ne? Ja. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen. Wenn es euch gefallen hat, würde ich mich über einen Daumen nach oben freuen. Und wir sehen uns dann beim nächsten Mal wieder. Macht's gut bis dahin und tschüss. So. So. Ich gebe ab auf den Homescreen, weil ich bin gerade gedanklich komplett am Sack. Das ist nicht auszuhalten. Oh. Das waren jetzt... Wie viele Enden? 4? Ich... Ja, ich hätte jetzt auch gesagt, wir haben jetzt wieder fast 2 Stunden. Ich glaube, das reicht auch für heute. Wir haben jetzt, wie viele Videos aufgenommen? Einige. Ja, die werde ich jetzt über die nächste Zeit verteilt ins Programm einstreuen. Und ja, dann gucken wir mal. Ich würde sagen, an dieser Stelle gebe ich ab auf den auf den Endscreen. Und bedanke mich ganz herzlich fürs Zuschauen. Das hat mir sehr viel Spaß gemacht heute. Auch wenn es kompletter Mindfuck war. Ja. Ich möchte mich ganz herzlich bedanken bei Tobi und bei Jan fürs Reinschauen. Hat mich sehr gefreut. Und wir sehen uns dann im nächsten Stream wieder. Spätestens nächste Woche bei der nächsten TLA-Gamingshow. Ja. Wenn es euch gefallen hat, lasst dem Channel doch ein Follow da. Schaut auf unseren Discord-Server vorbei, abonniert den YouTube-Kanal und ansonsten wünsche ich euch noch einen schönen Abend, einen schönen Tag und eine schöne Woche. Macht's gut, bis zum nächsten Mal und tschüss.